All right, guys, so today I want to show you how you can really spice up your drums just by adding in little drum accents, little textures, and different little effects that aren't really typical, because I think a lot of people sometimes are trying to do basic drums or something like that, trying to find a way to sound unique, and I think this is a really cool way to add a lot of interesting things to your drums, but I'm going to show you because I'm going to build it off of like a solid foundation. I already have a melody loop as well as a just real basic 808 bass line here. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is just build some basic drums, really basic, and then we're gonna start adding in the uniqueness, right? Because I think you have to kind of build on a solid foundation. But yeah, let's just find some sort of snare or clap sample to start it off. And what I like to do is I just play the sample and I just click through until you really hear one that's like, oh, that's it. Kind of like that one. Sometimes for that off one, I'll find like a rim shot or something. And then for the hi-hats, I like to actually just start off with like a two-step hi-hat just to just keep the groove going a little bit before we get, add in all the sauce. Okay, to be honest with you, for kicks, you can find one-off kicks and easily make a kick pattern. I'm gonna show you something I like to do. I fucking love doing this. So if you go into some of our drum loop stems specifically, so I'll go to full drum loops, I'll go to like stem layer. I love this Atlanta one. I use it all the time, but what I do is I just paste the whole thing in there. I stretch it to get it on time, and I just use the pre-made kick pattern, and then what I do is I find the ones I like and don't like, and I rearrange it, just depending on how it feels. Like right here, something I might do with this one here is I might just bring down the volume to give it a little bit more bounce. So you're just having that little volume automation. See, as you can see right there, I can get an easy foundation that works right away, regardless of what genre you're working with. And then what I do is I just tweak it to my liking. I have a new pattern here. Oops. I have a new pattern here. And yeah, I'm just going to copy and paste it throughout. You don't have to do it that way. You can obviously just draw out every single kick pattern if you want. Like, you can do this however the fuck you want. But for me, I get an instant groove that's good in any genre I want, because I'll just pick the drum loop genre. I'll grab the full, just the kick stem layer, and then I'll start to customize it. And then later you can even change the kick sound if you want. Okay, so look, I'm going to find a couple very simple accents to start. I'm going to go to drum kit, and the first thing that's cool is actually if you find a hi-hat roll folder like we have here. I love these, right? They're just little things, and what I like to do is I'm just going to loop the beat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be randomly clicking through these samples on the side and see if anything catches me while we're playing. So already, that second piece of it, okay, right here, this was kind of cool. So I'm going to find us. You turn it down because you don't want to overpower the mix. By the way, a lot of these little things I'm about to do, it's going to be very low volume because it's just accents to really like. So as you can see here, we already got one little one, and I turned it down. Like, honestly, it's not even trying to take over. You can do another one too. I'll find another weird one. That's a cool one. Not even perfectly on, but fuck it. Okay, cool. So we already have some. Let me find some weirder ones as well so you guys can hear kind of how these little things are starting to give the drums like a bit of texture and variety that honestly the listeners like. They just hear the main beat. All the listeners hear is this. But they don't know. But the thing that's adding a lot of uniqueness is like the little stuff like these. This little weirdness, right? And if you do enough of that, you can really get some interesting stuff. But let's keep going here. Let's see what else we got. Oh, that's a cool one. You barely even hear it. Okay, and a couple of things you can do to really add these little effects. There's also some go-to ones that are really important, just like a little cymbal. But the cymbals, don't turn them up too loud. They don't need to be, those high-end sounds need to be real low. Otherwise, they can really hurt your ears actually when you turn your music up. Like, listen how quiet that is. It's barely back there. It's behind these other sounds. I actually want to make this effect a little faster, so I'm going to actually stretch it a little bit. Sorry for the cursor change, guys. My cursor's fucking tiny. I don't know what's going on with my display. That was fire. I want to keep that. As you can see, look at these little details, right? If we listen to them just alone, they just add so much to the beat. It's a lot of weirdness. And something, if I wanted to take it even further, I even like to use white noise sometimes, okay? In this beat, I probably wouldn't try to overdo it, but in other cases, especially if I'm working on just very interesting textured beats, we actually have this free pack called Life. Let me see here. It's like ambient recording, so I'll take something like Beat Shower. Oh. I kind of like that. What the fuck? There's a lot of low end on these sounds though, so you got to make sure you get rid of it. See all that low end? Bring it down a little bit. Turn it way down. So now the beat even is going to have this shit just chilling in the back. But one thing I like to do is automate it to the kick. So what I'll do is I'll create a little automation clip here. And then I'll do it here. I'll do create automation clip. So now this is actually controlling the volume of the sound, but we're going to duck it every time the kick hits, right? I'm going to mute everything but just the kick so you can hear how the... Okay, so here we have two kicks that'll overlap. So what I do is I just make this one unique, make it a bit smaller, and then I just put the original back on here. And yeah, I'm going to need the same thing right here. By the way, guys, I'm just matching it up to this kick up top. So every time the kick hits, the whole track dips, essentially. So if I were to play it, I'm just going to turn it up for a second so you can hear. All together. But I'm going to turn it back down. I just want to show you the example because I keep this like way in the back, right? Okay, let's make sure we duplicate all the drums out. Let's get everything back on. So already right there, this is not a very loud sound, but what this can do is it can help a lot of mixes just sound more full to have a little bit of that high end. But honestly, I don't like it dipping all the way. I like it like dipping like almost all the way. The user's not going to even hear this sound, but what they're going to hear is they're going to hear just noise, right? That's essentially what they're going to hear, and it's just, like I said, going to fill out the mix a little bit, and sometimes it can make your mix sound more interesting. I'm going to add one more element that I really like, so I can take something, because I love adding live sounds to mix in with the drums as well. So if I go to this project called Dreams, if you guys ever get your hands on this, it's fucking lit. Go to live drum loops. My favorite drum loop ever. This one. Right here. So what we're going to do is it's actually Janet Jackson's drumming, but at the end of this little thing he plays this little fill like that little doom 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 doom, and what I like to do is just bring it back in, right? So you can do like something cool right there, and this can be a really cool way, just adding in some like random live. Even pause some of the other drums for more emphasis. Actually, I'm gonna bring some of that low end back. Okay, so you can actually add this, play with it a little bit, but once you have it, like play with the timing of it, right? Right, just like a little sound. Another thing we can add in to add some spice is like transitions. Okay, so we're gonna get cymbals here. Something like this can add a lot of heat just by reversing it into itself. And keep in mind, look, I'm doing a lot of these other effects, like I'm looping them on the regular basis, but then all of a sudden over here, like these reverse cymbals and stuff, and even like this little tom is more of a selective thing that gets kind of added in. And there you go, guys. Honestly, if you listen to the before, so we started just like, so here's some more like, here's the basic drums. And then with everything we added in, and it's still pretty simple. Like I did add, it looks like a lot of stuff, but because I put the volume levels in the right spot and really toned everything back and let it be a texture, I didn't let this be like a main sound, right? Even if I'm using a hi-hat, doesn't mean it's a main hi-hat or a hi-hat roll or like a tom fill. Doesn't mean like those are like the main players in the mix. I toned them back to a point where they almost are just textures and accents to the main drums. And overall, it just makes... it just adds a little bit of ear candy to the beat itself. You can just use one or a few of these. I would highly recommend those starting very simple, just like I did. I started this with a two-step hi-hat, like the simplest things, right? We started with this. And then because we had that simple foundation, we were allowed to get a little bit weird and interesting with the percussions and the accent drums, but we did it in a way, I don't know, like there's this saying I heard one time. It's like you can't be like a nudist Buddhist, right? You can be like a nudist because it's, you know, kind of weird, but it's all right. People accept you. You can be a Buddhist, you know, it might be kind of strange, but you know, people accept you. But you can't be both, right? It's coming from a guy who grew up in a Buddhist family. Anyways, my point being, you can have some weirdness in your mix, but if you have so much weirdness that people can't relate, you know what I'm saying? Like, if, let's say I were to take out most of this and just leave only the weirdness. It's okay, but there's not like, it's just odd. You know what I'm saying? It's very odd, but if you have some solid elements and then a little bit of weirdness thrown in, that's where you get interesting drums that still hit hard, still sound cohesive, and people are still gonna fuck with. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about drums, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And there is a download for this video, so if you just check down below, I'm gonna assemble a bunch of different weird sounds for you to play around with. I want you to mix and match. I want you to build a solid foundation and mix and match a little bit of this stuff and make sure your volume levels are right, just like this video. A lot of these little accents and stuff are gonna sit way far in the back. If you do these things, I guarantee you're going to make some really cool sounding drums that still kind of hit hard. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and peace out.